Should the New York Knicks give Immanuel Quickley a 4-year, $104 million contract extension? We're going to break that down on today's show as you're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. According to Heavy Sports, Immanuel Quickley is looking for a 4-year, $104 million deal. The quote was he wants close to the money that Jalen Brunson got, not this summer, but last summer when he left the Dallas Mavericks and joined the New York Knicks. Important date to remember, October 24th, the last day of the offseason before the Knicks go and beat the Boston Celtics at Madison Square Garden. That is the last day that the Knicks will be able to negotiate with a long-term deal with Quickley until they would have to wait until the end of the season. He would reach restricted free agency. So you have about 40 days away. 40 days, if my math is right, 42, 43 days away for the Knicks to get a deal done with Quickley. And that is plenty enough time if they are in the camp of wanting to get a deal done. I'll tell you if they should do it around the corner, but I need to make sure you are subscribed, because if a Quickley extension happens, we will make a video as soon as possible. And I don't want you to be out at the bar, at the barber shop, at the store, at the club with the homies or the ladies, and you're like, yo, the Knicks need to extend Quickley. And they're like, dude, they already did. I saw it on Knicks Now TV. Change it. YouTube.com/Knicks TV. Hit that big red sub button right now. Sean Devini of Heavy Sports reported this. According to an NBA source, there has been some base touching between the sides on a Quickley extension, but no serious talks as of yet. There's some pessimism about whether a deal can get done, but talks are not expected to heat up until October. No substantive stuff. There's basically a month or so, but in these things, in these type of negotiations, that is plenty of time. And I agree with Sean. Look, if you have a month to get a deal done, and we're talking hundreds of $1 million, you can get it done. But the Knicks don't have to extend Immanuel Quickley. They can wait until he becomes a restricted free agent. Is it the best way to go? I'll share my thoughts in a little bit, but I want to go to what Ian Begley of SNY said a couple of days ago. Quote, something worth noting. In the middle of the 2022-23 season, some members of the organization felt strongly that the Knicks would end up extending Immanuel Quickley. Of course, things can go sideways during the contract negotiations, but I assume that the Knicks will do what they need to do in order to extend a player who has exceeded all expectations based on his draft position. So I read that and I thought this. Did the lack of success that Immanuel Quickley had in the playoffs change the mind of the people inside the Knicks front office? Did they see Quickley kind of fall short and, quite honestly, struggle immensely against the Cleveland Cavaliers as well as the Miami Heat before suffering that ankle injury? Did that change their mindset on if Immanuel Quickley is a long-term piece for this team? I don't know. I know this. He was not good in the playoffs, and it's unfortunate because I'm a big Immanuel Quickley fan. I think he's one of the best backup point guards in the NBA. He should have been named the sixth man of the year, but he didn't play like it in the playoffs, and to be honest, that's why the Knicks didn't beat the Miami Heat. The stats were bad. We just showed you that. He was inefficient, couldn't knock down the outside shot. But what I liked about Quickley was he found a way to affect the game even though the shots weren't falling. What do I mean by that? In Game 1, he had a plus-minus of +8. Game 2, -5. But look at Game 3, a +27. Game 4, a +11. And then against the Heat and in Game 5, he all had a negative plus-minus. He also had one of the highest defensive win share stats in the playoffs for Quickley. So he found a way on the glass as well as a guy on defense that could still contribute to winning, even though he wasn't able to knock down any shots from the inside or outside. And I'm not going to overreact. I don't think people should overreact to the way Immanuel Quickley played in the playoffs. We saw for so many games this year. We'll show you the stats again if you forgot. Time in and time out. When Quickley got the opportunity to be a starter, he was super effective. When he was on the court with Jalen Brunson, he was extremely good. And I know that he is a better player than he put a product out in the NBA playoffs. I believe in Quickley. Too good of a player, too smart of a player, and too hard of a worker to not be able to find the secret sauce in the playoff success that I know is coming for the young buck. I'll ask you this question. He wants $104 million. What do you think? Is Immanuel Quickley worth $100 million? Let me know what you think. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I do think he is worth it. Is he worth it for the Knicks is probably the better question to ask. But he is 100% worth $100 million. When you look at what some of the highest paid guards are making in 2023, this is a list from the 25th highest paid guard to the 34th highest paid guard. Tyler Hero, he makes $27 million. Mike Conley, he makes $24 million. Is Anthony Simons that much better than Immanuel Quickley? He might be a little bit better. I know Immanuel Quickley is better than Terry Rozier. Malcolm Brogdon, I think Quickley is just as good. Should have won Sixth Man of the Year over him. And Spencer Dinwiddie. I think Quickley is better than him. If Dinwiddie makes $20 million, you're damn right. If I'm Immanuel Quickley, I'm asking for $20 million. And with the way he played this past season, he's got a good, strong case to show that he's worth the bag. In 81 games played, the dude missed just one game. Unfortunately, he got hurt in the playoffs, but the guy put up 15 points per night, had his best season in the NBA, 4 rebounds, almost 3 assists. The thing that stood out to me was the efficiency. That's always kind of been a problem for Quickley, but this past year, he found a way to fix it. 44.8% from the field and a white-hot 37% from downtown. But when he was asked to be a starter, whether it was due to an injury to Jalen Brunson or an injury to Quentin Grimes or an injury to R.J. Barrett, they slotted Quickley in the starting lineup, and the Knicks didn't miss a beat, and he elevated his level of play. In those 21 games, the dude almost averaged 23, 5, and 6 on 47% from the field and above 40% from downtown. He can be a spot starter for any team on this league, and he could probably start for half of the teams on this league. And what I love the most is when the season came down the stretch, the Knicks were trying to find their spot in the playoffs and fight for a higher seed to potentially host a home game, a home series in round 1. He turned it up a notch. 18 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and 47% from the field, and 39.6% from 3. He was excellent the last 51 games of the season. He was honestly excellent the entire season. But the thing that I love the most about Immanuel Quickley is he fits perfectly next to the best player on this team in Jalen Brunson. I have some interesting stats that I know you're going to want to hear in a second. But first, I got to tell you about our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code chat125. Put $100 into your account, and they're going to match it with a 125% deposit bonus. So if you go to chatsports.com/bet, use the promo code chat125. Put $100 in your account. You'll have $225 to bet with. You can bet on the Giants, Jets, NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, boxing, underwater basket weaving. We've got your game. BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code chat125. Some chat sports stats here for you. Of all the two-man lineups, so you can filter each lineup and you can put it down to 2 players, and I did so. Of all two-man lineups for the Knicks, with at least 500 minutes played together, which isn't that many minutes. Think about it like this. 500 minutes divided by 82, that's 6 minutes a game. So it's not that big of a number. Of all two-man lineups with at least 500 minutes played together, Brunson and Immanuel Quickley had the 8th highest net rating of plus 8.5, which means that's how many points you were better than the other team in 100 possessions. So the Knicks, when Quickley and Brunson played together for 100 minutes, they were almost 8.5 points better than the other team. More chat sports stats. Of the 7 Knicks 5-man lineups that had more than 100 minutes played together, the ones with Immanuel Quickley and Jalen Brunson had the top 2 net ratings of 13.1 and 7.8, which shows you when Brunson and Quickley are on the floor together, they produce some of the best results for the New York Knicks. Another reason that I know that Immanuel Quickley and Jalen Brunson are a good pairing together that I could just tell by my eyes and we're backed up by statistics is he does things that make him good off the ball. And we know he can play on ball, but he shoots 39% on catch and shoot threes. And with a ball dominant guard like Jalen Brunson, that's a great outlet to have. He can also create his own shot from downtown, 34.5% on pull-up threes. He's also great when attacking the basket. 59% on all shots 10 feet from the cup. He's also really active on the defensive end. He's one of the best defensive guards in the NBA, over a deflection and a half per night. And when you look at defensive win shares, he was the 12th highest amongst all guards in the NBA. So he can play off ball. He's a good defender, and he fits well next to your best player. I don't want to move on from Immanuel Quickley, as the reports have been coming out that the Knicks have been shopping Immanuel Quickley this summer. And you know what? I don't blame him for that, because he's going to be a restricted free agent coming up next summer, and the Knicks will have to make a decision. Do we pay him, or do we trade him in a trade for a superstar? And I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm not trading him just to trade him. I'm only going to trade him if it's a deal for a superstar. And if I had to say which player is most likely to go, it's between Grimes or Immanuel Quickley. I think two of those guys, one of those two guys are probably gone, maybe even both of them. I also don't think it's a bad idea to let Immanuel Quickley test restricted free agency, because he will be a restricted free agent this summer, which means he can go out and field offers and sign an offer with any team in the NBA, and the Knicks will have an opportunity to match that contract. So he can go out there and let's say he wants to sign a deal with the Phoenix Suns. They give him 4 years, $100 million. He has to go back to the Knicks and say, will you guys match this deal? If the answer is yes, he'll be a Knick. If the answer is no, he won't. And I don't hate the idea of letting the market, letting other teams tell you what your own player is worth. The only thing that I don't love about it is a team will sometimes overpay in restricted free agency to kind of outbid the team that he's restricted to. Can I remind you of the Jeremy Lin situation with the Knicks and the Houston Rockets? So I'll ask you this. What should the Knicks do with Immanuel Quickley? Should they trade him? Should they let him enter restricted free agency? Or should they give him an extension before the October 25th deadline? I want to hear from you down in the comment section. If we get any more news, updates, information on Quickley, the Knicks, or anybody, the first place you're going to hear about it is over on my Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. So give me a follow over there, and let's go Knicks.